ready to hang out with you guys. I'm ready to hang out with you guys. I've got one person on. Hi Danielle. How are you? You gotta chat lots with me because hey Robin. Because it makes it less lonely to do these lives. So it's fun to come on here and answer your guys' questions. Hi Alyssa. Good morning. I hope you guys are having some warm, sunny weather. We are having big blue skies, but it's not super warm. That's good old Alberta for you. So, I am just going to talk about, hi Kathy. I think you were just trying to video message me on here instead of joining the Q&A. Anyways, I'm so excited. I got a little group of ladies. Let's chat. Hi, Victoria. Seems like a good morning for everybody to get together. So I want you guys to use this opportunity to ask me any questions about pretty much anything that you have. Hi, Brett. Oh, ladies and the guy. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, use this opportunity to ask me any questions. While I'm waiting for you guys to type out your questions, I'm just going to chat a little bit about prepping your clients for newborn sessions. And that way I just keep it going, and then you guys can ask me questions and I'll answer them as they come. So basically what I recommend doing for your clients is sending them a prep guide. Now, I used to just send a PDF prep guide, but I found that a lot of people want to send PDF prep guides, and I used to do the exact same thing, sending a PDF prep guide, but I actually found that I was never guaranteed that they would actually look at their prep guide. And so a lot of times, like, because in my prep guide, I specifically have a map with an address and directions on how to get to my studio location. And I always knew when people didn't look at their prep guides or read their prep guides because they would text me and say, what's your address? Because I don't have my address listed on my website. And when they text me and say, what's your address? I just say my general location, and I say it's all in the prep guide, and you'll find my location in the map and everything for my studio. And so that way it's giving them motivation to read their prep guide. Because anyways, so I'm getting distracted. So basically the PDF situation, I was using it, and I knew I was just kind of being lazy and using it anyways because I was too lazy to make anything else. And then this one client, for whatever reason, she could not open her PDF link. Like, she couldn't figure it out, and she was just super technologically incapable. Like, she could not get her prep guide open. And so I was just out of pure frustration, I went on Jotform and I made a brand new prep guide on Jotform because it's free. And I incorporated pictures into the prep guide. I incorporated my little map. I incorporated pretty much everything. But with my digital prep guide, I realized, they're filling out their contract first, but on the prep guide, I can ask questions like, does your baby have jaundice? Does your baby have feeding problems? Does your baby have any kind of acid reflux? Does your baby have any kind of health problems I need to be aware of? Is there any form of, like, I can't even remember specific questions, but basically I'm asking, is there any health problems? Please check mark if the baby is cluster feeding, if the baby has gas problems, if the baby is jaundice, that sort of thing. So then they can check off or is there lots of baby acne or that sort of thing. And so, acid reflux. And then they can check mark whatever applies to their baby. Yeah, right, Danielle? Like, it is so, I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, because I had been using Jotform to send my contract for like a good 2 years before I started using it for my prep guide. So anyways, let me get back to this. So with my prep guide on Jotform, I also include specific prop requests. So I say, is there a specific prop request that you wish to incorporate into your session, such as a flocati, such as a wooden bowl, such as a wooden trench, such as a crate, such as a bed, a bowl, a bucket, blah, 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 blah. And so then I leave a box and they can type in all their specific requests. And then I say, is there any colors that you do not like? And then they can type in whatever colors they don't like. And then I say, please incorporate 2 colors or please request or write down 2 colors that you wish me to incorporate into the session. And the reason why I say 2 and not more than that is because then I incorporate whatever colors I want to that'll flow that aren't part of the ones they don't like. So like, for instance, like lately I had somebody that was like, I like blah, blah, blah colors, but I don't like red. So I was like, oh, okay, so then I'm pretty much free to fill up the gallery with whatever other colors as long as I don't have red in there because, and that way when you're setting up, because I don't know about you guys, but I always go in an hour and a half before my sessions. And the reason why is A, to warm up the studio, and B, that's when I take my time to set up all my setups and prep for my clients to arrive. And then I have like 20 minutes to sit and chill before they get there. And then sometimes people are early and then, whatever. But anyways, the prep guide is really great because you can also show them, so I also in the prep guide, I tell parents, okay, you're going to want to wear light clothing. You're not going to want to wear anything heavy because it's really warm. Please specify if there's any issues that I need to know about. Please make sure that you bring a pacifier, even if your baby doesn't use a pacifier, because basically the success of your session depends on you bringing a pacifier. Whether I need to use it or not, I need to have it on hand. And I'm finding that since I've been doing that with the Jot form, like the prep guide on the Jot form platform, I have been having way less issues with clients. Because when I had the prep guide on my PDF, I found that because so many people were not actually reading it, half the people would show up without a pacifier. Oh, my baby doesn't need one, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really like to have, especially with COVID, I don't want to be supplying pacifiers to clients because A, I don't want them coming back to me and saying, you gave me some random pacifier and put it in my baby's mouth. Like, I don't provide anything. Oh, thank you, Alyssa. I'm so glad that you love the workshop videos. That makes me really, really happy. Yeah, so anyways, with the prep guide, I will get to all your guys' questions in just a minute, but keep posting them because as I'm done talking, then I will be able to go right through the questions. So another thing with the prep guide is I include like what to bring. So I say this session is going to be going over the lunch hour, most likely. So please bring snacks for yourselves. You're welcome to eat in the studio room. Bring yourselves lots of water because I don't provide anything due to COVID. So you're gonna, you're gonna be thirsty. However, one thing that I've started doing, I know a lot of you guys are Americans, but us Canadians, we have Tim Hortons. And so I rip through Tim Hortons in the morning before every session and I buy a box of Timbits. And Timbits are like donut holes. And so I buy a box of 10 Timbits and I leave them in the little box next to their seating area. And I say, these are for you if you guys get hungry. Because I do find a lot of people, if they're rushing to get to the session, they don't eat or they forget to bring snacks or whatever. And then they are starving and then, grumpy. So I don't want anybody to have any kind of low blood sugar issues while they're at the studio. So I do not provide technically anything. They don't even know I'm going to provide it. They just have a nice surprise when they get there. And they always are so excited. It's like literally a $2 purchase for me. And they're like, oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. That's so thoughtful. And it just like gets them all in a good mood and they're all excited and happy about it. So it's like super easy for me. I can grab a coffee while I'm going through Tim Hortons and it's a win-win. Anyways, back to the prep guide. So another thing that I tell parents, this is super, super important, you guys, because some prep guides will tell your clients, you need to keep your baby up for like 2 or 3 hours before your session, blah, 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 blah. Like you have to remember that these newborns are literally newborns. You cannot overstimulate them because then that actually has the reverse effect. Instead of having them get tired, they get cranky because they're so overstimulated that they don't know what's wrong and then they just can't settle. And then, that's a nightmare session situation for you. So what I do is I say, first of all my newborn sessions start at 10:30 a.m. Sometimes I have a client that really fights me on this and then I'll say, you know what, the most flexible I'll do is 11. And that always bites me in the butt. Every single time it bites me in the butt. I get a super fussy baby or they end up showing up really late. And it's just every single time, I don't think it's ever worked out. And I still cave sometimes. I don't know why I do it to myself. I guess because sometimes I don't even feel like fighting with people about it. But for the most part, I would say 90% of the time, I'm pretty strict. I say 10:30 a.m., newborn session, start time. And if they say, why is that? I say, well, you know what? I find that sessions that start in the afternoon, they tend to have longer fussy periods, longer awake periods. I just find that the sessions last twice the amount of time. And if you follow my prep guide, we should be able to get through a session within 2 hours. And for most parents, and I do tell them, look, I know it's not going to be easy. I know you have a brand new baby. I know you're getting ready getting ready to leave the house probably for the first time. But please do this. It'll make the session flow quite a lot better. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. I swear I talked so fast. Okay, let's regroup here. Okay, so anyway, so I say 10:30 a.m. start time. So please, please, please remember, if you're a photographer that thinks that you need to do newborn sessions in the evenings because parents work during the day, guess again, don't do it. Most babies have a fussy period, and it's usually in the evenings. So I think of this one girl that I mentored a few years ago, and she came and mentored with me. We did 2 newborn sessions. She left all confident. And after she went home and she started doing her sessions, one after another, the babies would not sleep. And so I said, what's, and she's messaging me all upset, and she's freaking out because she can't get through a session. She can't get more than 1 or 2 poses. And I'm like, when are you doing these sessions? What time of day are you doing them? She's like, well, I'm starting them at like 5 o'clock because these babies' dads are working. Plus she I think was working as well, like working a job. So I was like, well, that's your problem for one thing. You're starting them in the evening, and usually babies have a fussy period. Yeah, and it's usually a few times a day. Whether, I don't mean necessarily fussy, but just they're awake, they want to eat, they want to be stimulated, blah, blah, blah. So try to avoid the evenings. As soon as she switched to morning sessions, it was like a game changer. Her sessions, the babies were sleeping better. Everything was just going so much better for her. So I always remember that. Like, when people are pushing you for an evening session, just outright say, no, I'm sorry. Newborn sessions are best done in the morning. I used to start them at 10 a.m., but now that I don't have a home studio, I start them at 10:30. This just gives me extra time to get my kids out the door to school or whatever, and breakfast. Okay, so what I tell the parents is when you wake up in the morning, most parents are probably getting up at like 7 in the morning if they have to make it for a session at 10:30. I say when you wake up in the morning, I want you to bathe your baby. First of all, you're going to have a baby that is coming in nice and fresh and smells good. I have had people bring in pretty greasy babies because they never bathe them. And this way you're getting a fresh, clean baby who smells really good for you to work with. Second of all, especially because of COVID, this is just a good idea in general. Just bathe the baby. But COVID aside, I always tell my parents, bathe your baby in the morning. And the second tip I say is let your newborn, after their bath, lay on the bed, like lay on your bed and just play with them. Just blow on them, play with them, tickle them, like stimulate them, try to keep them awake after their bath. So having them naked, like don't just dress them and get them all bundled up because they're going to want to go to sleep because the bath tired them out. So then I say, just play with them for like probably, 15, 20 minutes, get them all stimulated, and then dress them, and then try to keep them awake for another like 20 minutes. And I just say, like, if you can keep the babies awake for at least half an hour, 45 minutes in the morning before your session, then that'll really help tire them out for their session. So you don't want to overstimulate them, remember that. But you do want to have them stimulated enough to tire them out. Because if they sleep all morning while mom's getting ready and having a shower and this and that, guess what? That baby ain't going to sleep for you. So then the last thing I say is, I shouldn't say this is not the last thing I say, but what the next step I say is you want to dress the baby in a zip-up sleeper that, like nothing, don't put a onesie on where they have to pull it over their head because that'll just disrupt them when they come to the studio. Because if I have to pull something over their head and fumble with their limbs and everything, it's going to really wake them up. So you want to have them in a zip up sleeper so that they're easy to remove their clothing. Another thing too is then you want them to have the baby fully fed right before they leave the house. And the reason why is because it is such a time waster for the parents to feed the baby when they get to the studio. And I do find that if they feed the baby and give them a full feed before they leave for their session, usually the drive is about 20 minutes for them to get to me, 20 to 30 minutes. It allows the baby to fall into a really deep sleep. And then I can get started as soon as they arrive. And I do find that if the baby is awake when they arrive, which is really very rare, then I start with a wrapped pose because, unless they're like barely awake, then I start with my workflow and like I do in the workshop. But yeah, so I find that this has just been super great. So I really, really insist on the bath in the morning, allow them to stimulate the baby for a little bit of time, and then feed the baby a full feed before they come for the session, because that is super helpful. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of these questions here. Okay. And if I miss your question, just repost it, because sometimes they hide these questions on here, so I don't know. Okay, Lorraine says, can I triple diffuse? I double diffuse on my PLM, but want to do triple. I don't see why you can't, Lorraine, but I don't see why it would be necessary either. Like, are you using the Einstein for your lighting, or are you using something different? Because if you're using the Einstein, the power goes low enough that you shouldn't have to do more than double diffuse. So answer my question, just type in your answer, and I will come back to that. And yes, Danielle, definitely try and add your prep guide into Jotform, because it's just very, another thing that I just realized. So after I put everything in the Jotform prep guide, what I do at the bottom, I say, please submit. I make a submit button. I say, please confirm that you've read and agree to everything stated in this prep guide, and submit so that I know that you've read it. And so then they have to submit it. So if I don't get a submission, I know they didn't read it. So, another thing too is that I also ask for their phone number, because if they, for whatever reason, if they don't give me their phone number, like somehow missed it in the contract or somehow missed it in their contact form, then I get a third chance to get their phone number, because I do like to text the night before or the morning of and just send them a quick little reminder, see you at 10:30 or whatever. And then that gives them the opportunity to text me quickly if they need to, if they're running late or whatever. Okay, Kathy, I have a 950 square foot studio, hard to warm it up. What's best heater option? Well, I think, Kathy, the problem with that, and that's why I love having a small studio, is I've had that problem before. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to close off a small area for your newborn posing specifically. Not necessarily the family portion, but definitely the newborn portion. I was in a studio, sharing a studio with another photographer in the city, and she had this really cool, gigantic trifold thing that I think it was made out of some kind of board. It wasn't wood. I can't even remember what it was, but it was really big, and it was probably 10 feet high, and probably each panel was probably 4 feet. So we were able to move it around because it was 3 pieces. You didn't have to like secure it to anything, and it was really, really big. So and it was painted black, which is great, because then you're able to, have your light on one side and then that black thing on the other, and it just creates really great shadows. Anyways, so we would just move it into a section of the room, and I would put a heater in that closed off area. So keep in mind, it's not totally closed off, but it does kind of contain the heat in one section of the room rather than having the room just wide open. If that's not a possibility for you, I would recommend maybe securing some curtain rods to the ceiling somehow, and just getting a heavy fabric to just kind of like make your own little curtain room, and then you can pull them open when you're not using it. And you really just need to close off an area to warm up because your space is way too big. I don't have my prep guide available to buy, but I am actually going to make something for you guys to be able to just copy and paste into drop form. It'll just be cheap to purchase, like $10 or something. But I have to redo it because I used to have a PDF and I just don't recommend PDFs anymore. Do you have any tips for sibling shots? Yes, so I always do sibling shots first at the beginning of every single session. So another thing too that in the prep guide is I advise parents to wear something neutral, something light, not too heavy. And I have the parents always, if they're coming with other children, I say right in the prep guide. It's a good thing you asked this question because I forgot to mention this. So I say right in the prep guide that I advise parents bring 2 vehicles and they bring bribery, and bribery that's not messy, of course. Like, don't be bringing chocolates, that's going to get chocolate everywhere. Bring something quick like gummies or something, and we'll use the bribery if we need to. But what I recommend is dads take the siblings out and leave after the sibling and family portion is finished, because I don't want a 2-year-old or 3-year-old or 5-year-old or 7-year-old or whatever hanging around, hovering over me, running through my stuff, grabbing things that they're going to break. I don't want that. And I explain to parents, this is mom's time with the newborn, and it's special, and dads can take, or whoever, grandma or whatever, can take the siblings out for McDonald's, take them to the park, whatever, or just take them home. I actually recommend that they take them home. And so when I start with the siblings, what I do is first I leave the siblings in the sitting area with the dad, and I bring mom and baby into the room. I always start with the potato wrap with family and infants. I mean, not infants. The baby is an infant with siblings, because it's a super secure wrap. Second of all, it keeps all the limbs in, and it's really great at keeping the baby asleep. So when the siblings are acting all crazy, or you have a 2-year-old who won't cooperate, the baby is so secure and so exhausted because it's all bundled up in a little cocoon. It's better than just 1 wrap or 2 wraps. My potato wrap is 3 wraps, and if you buy the potato video tutorial, you will see how I do that, or the parent posing video. It's a really great way to keep the baby really secure and nice and round, and it just works perfectly. And then right after you do the family and parent poses, then you pop that baby in a prop. You just change out the top wrap and you pop the baby in a prop, and there you go. Voila, you've got your first setup done instantly, and it takes no time at all because you've already wrapped the baby. Okay, so I am going to actually be releasing a posing tutorial for siblings specifically, because I've had a request for it, or a few requests for it actually, and I'm going to do that. I am just waiting for my friend to have her baby, and her little girl is going to be the perfect little model. So I want to have a kid that I know will cooperate so that I can actually teach you guys in the tutorial rather than a crazy child. However, I will give you a tip. If you do have a crazy child, just the most important thing is to remember that the parents are the most stressed out. That kid doesn't give a crap. And so if you're stressed out, the parents are going to be even worse. They're going to be so much more stressed out. They're almost going to want to just pack it up and leave and go home. So you don't ever, ever, ever want the parents to feel defeated. You don't ever want the parents to feel like it's their fault. You don't ever want to feel like, you don't ever want to portray grumpy or irritation or any kind of negative feelings towards any of them, because that is just going to sour the entire experience for them. So what I tell parents, like, when I know, because they filled out the contract, or they've communicated to me before the session how old their child is, when I know it's a child under 4 years old, I say, listen, I am super easygoing with the session, specifically, especially with the sibling portion. So we just go with the flow. We just play, let your child get used to me, and don't stress out. Like, it happens. Like, I've got 4 kids. I know that things never go as planned, and we'll just go with the flow, and we'll just make it fun. And if you bring bribery, then that's even better. And yeah. And so what I do is so I wrap the baby up in the potato wrap, and I have the dad with the siblings in the waiting room. And then I lay a flocati down on the ground because I find that most siblings are usually under 4 years old. So 4 and under, you definitely want to lay them down on a carpet. I put a couple pillow cushions underneath the flocati carpet so that they're not laying flat. You want to have something soft for the child to rest their head on, and it also helps prop up the newborn. And so I bring in the toddler and I say, okay, it's your turn. And sometimes they're like, bam, they want to lay down. And then other times they're like, heck no, get away from me. They want to run away. They're super unenthusiastic or freaking out or whatever. And then I just say, oh, look at the baby. The baby wants to lay on the carpet. And so then I take the baby from mom and I put the baby on the carpet, on the flocati, and I say, oh, look at your baby. Your baby wants you. And then they go, meh, or they go, ooh. And so if they're going, meh, then I say, that's okay. We're just going to take pictures of the baby. And so then I put the baby on the carpet and I get her in the right spot, or him or whatever. And then I start taking some pictures and I say, oh, look it. The baby misses you. And so then I show them the back of the camera. And then either the child will go, ooh, I want to be in the picture. Or they'll be like, and if they go, and then I go, okay, it's your turn. You can take a picture of your baby now. So then I help them hold it. Like I keep the camera around my neck. I never put the camera on them or anything. And I hold the camera and I say, oh, you press the button. You take a picture. And then sometimes they'll be like, oh, and they'll press the button and they're all excited. Or they'll be like, nah. So then in that case, when they're still freaking out and nothing's working, then dad or mom usually steps in and they say, oh, look it, I'm going to lay next to the baby. And I say, oh, we're going to take pictures with mommy and baby. And so then the mom will lay on the carpet next, like with a gap, obviously not next to the baby, but a gap so that the toddler can go sit next to the baby. And then the sibling will be like, I want baby, I want mommy. And then they'll lay down and then we'll say, ooh, we're going to tickle you. And then we tickle. And then they go, ooh. And then usually, bam, 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 I snap some pictures, and then we tickle, 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 and then the toddler's all laughing and giggling, and they say, oh, baby wants kisses, and then baby, is laying there still because they're wrapped up like a little cocoon and they can't move, and then usually I get some shots. So honestly, I think that works for me 95, 98% of the time. Sometimes I'll have a total terror child, and then I just say, you know what, that's okay. We're just going to carry on and we'll just do the parent shots. And then usually the toddler will want to be involved and then they'll feel left out. So then we'll do the family portion and then we can do the sibling portion at the end. In that case, if it's an older child, then I will actually have them sit on the wood floor and have the seamless paper backdrop behind them. And I will have them sit with their legs out and their feet together. And then I will have the baby wrapped as a potato sitting in between their legs up against their body, and then they're hugging the baby, and then they can put their head against the baby, or they can kiss the baby, or they can cuddle the baby, and it just makes for a beautiful picture. So the parents are usually just like, so excited. And if it's a really like older child, like a 12-year-old, then you can pose them like you would a mom with the baby, and it looks beautiful, and you can pretty much do every pose. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I know, Alyssa, my voice is, I know, and I sound ridiculous when I'm doing sessions. It is so embarrassing. Like, I love to embarrass myself. And then I look like a mess at the end of a session. I'm all sweaty and nasty, and I'm just like, me. But we have a good laugh while we're doing the sessions, and usually I get Peter pooped on or something, and then we always have a good laugh about that. So okay, let me go through these questions. Okay, so I'm so glad, Alyssa, that you loved the videos from the workshop. I'm just so excited that I was able to do that and get it done. I know it's been like on my mind to get it done, and then I was able to do the lighting tutorial. It all just worked out, and I'm just so stoked, and I'm so glad that you guys are giving such great feedback about it. I really, really, really want you guys to post pictures of what you've been producing since you watched the videos, because it just really is exciting for me, and I love to see growth, and I love to see it positively, like, I know it's really exciting when you learn something and then you're able to create something beautiful from what you've learned, and then you see your mistakes that you had created before. Like I know a lady yesterday had posted a picture and she was like, I see everything I did wrong and I'm hearing your voice in my head. And like, that is awesome. Like, that is so great that you guys are able to do that, because when I teach my tutorials, I'm very vocal with, especially through the tutorials, I specifically tell you exactly what I'm doing and walking you through it. So it's like as if you're right with me rather than having to read things on the screen. So it just, I don't know, it's just more personal that way. Kathy, I think I answered your question about do you have the prep guide available to buy? I will. I will have things for you to copy and paste into jot form. I just haven't yet. Donna, I will. I will sell a copy for the prep guide. You definitely, absolutely need to have a prep guide, and don't miss anything, because you want to have everything submitted or sent to your clients before your sessions, because honestly, a prep guide is really, really important, because your clients, if they show up having let the baby sleep for 3 or 4 hours right before the session, you're going to have 3 hours of a baby being wide awake, or 2 hours, or an hour and a half. Either way, it's going to be a waste of your time. Kat, how warm do you want a room? Warning signs to a baby getting too warm. So what I do is I warm up my room. I can't say specifically a specific temperature. It's going to be warm, quite warm, because I find that if it's hot outside, the room gets warmer way faster. So I don't know what areas everyone lives in, but I live in a very cool area. However, we've had some hot days, and so the normal room temperature that I would have the studio room at has been too warm. So what I do is I warm it up until the clients get there, and then I shut it off, and then the room cools down. And then I find that if the baby's not as sleepy, then I turn the heater back on and turn up the heat. So warning signs for the baby getting too warm is their skin gets flushed, they get sweaty, they get irritable, sticky, that sort of thing. So you just want to keep an eye on that. So definitely have it warm for when you're doing naked posing, and then turn the heat off when you have all the wrapped posing, because you'll know, like if the baby is cold to the touch, you can have the room heater on. If the baby is really warm and sweaty and flush, then turn that heater off and get a fan going or something. Hi, Ashley. So with my new workshop, I give you a complete workflow. So you said just hopped on, not sure if you covered this, but do you do prop poses first or fabric backdrop poses first? So when I have a family come in, if they have children, I will start with the siblings and the family and get that out of the way. And then I will proceed to do my first potato wrap pose, and then I will carry on probably with prop poses and finish with naked poses. However, that's not necessarily true, because I found that when I start with my naked posing, I'm finding that I'm able to cruise through 3 or 4 naked poses right off the bat first. And then I do a 4th pose on the beanbag where they're partially wrapped, and that's called my natural wrap posing. And that just gets the baby partially wrapped. And then after that, then I will wrap the baby up for parent posing. And so what I do traditionally, typically I should say, is I have my parents come in. I say, Dad, sit out in the waiting room because it's too warm in here for you, and dads usually get grumpy. I literally say that. Like, I even show that on my YouTube video introduction for the workshop. I say, dads hang out in here. If they want, they can go sit in their car. It doesn't matter to me. Or they can go for a drive, whatever. And then I say, moms, come in with me. You guys are welcome to, go back and forth, like, trade off spots or whatever. But I just recommend that dads hang out in the waiting room. And then I say, mom's going to come in with me. Blah, blah, where's the bathroom if you need to use the bathroom. And I am going to start with the newborn. And then I start and I do the naked posing on the dog bed or beanbag or whatever. And then after I've done that natural wrap pose, then I go right into parent posing. And then I do 4 or 5 props after that. And the reason why I can do props is because I have them wrapped in a specific way, and they actually just flow one into the next. So it's not like a random order. It's a very specific order. It's a very specific workflow. And I found that following this workflow, I've been doing this workflow for the last 6 months, and it has been Awesome. I was doing the opposite before. I was doing the props first, then the family, like I did in my workshop last year. But I've decided to switch it up because I found that a lot of photographers are having issues with getting the babies to sleep for the naked portion. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to swap out my workflow and change it to naked and then props. And you know what, it's actually been very, very successful because the thing is that when they're naked, they're more likely to stir. So you want them to be in a super deep sleep when you're doing the naked portion. And when they arrive in a super deep sleep because they have a full belly and they've been having the car ride to put them into a nice deep sleep, then you're perfect. You're golden. You just start right off the bat, right into naked posing. And then the props are so perfect to keep them when they're less sleepy because they're all wrapped. So even though they may not look wrapped in all the props, well, most of my props do look wrapped, but the bucket specifically too. Or no, I do have some naked when they're laying on the bed and their little leg is dangling. That is a different prop pose that I would recommend doing at the very, very end because not every baby likes it. But anyways, I think that I answered your question with that. I get so distracted. Do I pose siblings? Do you most posing for siblings? Do I do most posing for siblings on a focati? I do if they're young. I do them on a focati. Or if I have like 5 kids and an infant or 4 kids and an infant, I will pose them all like little sardines on the focati because I find that it's really easy. I shoot with a 35mm right down on top of them. And it creates for a really dreamy picture because I could do a shot with them looking at me and then a shot with them with their eyes closed and the baby's sleeping, and it's so pretty. Like, it's such a pretty picture. And then I always will roll down my Thunder Gray my Thunder Gray seamless paper, and I will put down my gray focati, and I will have them all sitting super close to one another, and the oldest sibling will hold the baby potato on their lap. Or you can have the baby laying on the focati in the potato wrap, and all the siblings on their bellies all squishy together. You always want to have them squishy because you don't want to have any gaps. When they are not squishy and like really close together, all the gaps make it like it's so disconnected. So you want to have the connection. I'll post some pictures after just to show you what I mean. Oh, you wish that I had showed you how to take them out of the bucket. Okay. So when you have them in the bucket and you want to take them out, what I do is I will take the posing beans, that whatever's in the way I will take out, and then I will scoop my one hand underneath this part of their body, okay? Because you want to have them supported. Their neck will be like this, and then you use your chin to keep their head secure from flopping, and you just, oops, I just about spilled my coffee. You just literally just scoop them out. Like, so I'll have one arm underneath the armpits, and I literally just scoop the top portion, and then I shove my hand down and scoop up their bum, and then I just pull them right up. It's really simple because the way I've showed you how to put them in the bucket keeps them nice and secure. Okay. My crazy voices in this video. Anybody who's gonna rewatch this is going to get a good laugh out of my crazy voices. I'm so glad, Danielle, that you love the workshop videos and the lighting videos. That really, really makes me happy. So, Alyssa, I hope that helps. So, you know what I'm going to do, Alyssa? I'm going to use the posing doll to show you exactly how I get the baby out of the bucket. But I'm only going to do that to people that have bought the workshop because I think that's only fair. So if you guys have bought that video specifically, then when I do have it ready, I'll just post that in the group and say, message me if you bought the bucket video, and I'll just confirm that you have. And then if you have, then I'll just send you through Facebook Messenger, how I do it. And I think that'll be the best way to help you out. And yes, Lisa, I am going to do a reference guide for you guys because I just haven't got around to it. But I will do that because I do know that it is important, especially for your workflow. You definitely want to have like just reference images to reference to. That'll definitely help you out. Anybody that's purchased the workshop will get that free of charge. So yeah, I'm glad, Kat, that can help you out. Okay, you guys, so before I keep everybody on here for so long, I'm going to just thank you, Lisa. I'm so glad that you think I'm a great teacher. Sometimes I feel like I'm a chicken with my head cut off, but I am trying, and I really do enjoy doing this. And so it really makes me happy that you guys have liked it and everything. So if any last questions, I've been on here for 44 minutes, so I will give you guys 2 more minutes to post any last questions that you have. And if there's no more questions, then I will let you guys get back to your day. But I super appreciate everybody that's popped on here and interacted with me. And even if you haven't interacted, that's okay. I know that sometimes it's easy to just listen and not have to type anything. But anyways, I'm super, super excited to see your guys' before and afters of the workshop. Yeah. Any last questions? Okay, bye, Donna. Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and feel free to post any questions that you have in the group, and I will try and answer them as soon as I'm able to. Perfect, thanks, Paz, and yeah, definitely, if you guys have watched the lighting tutorial, please post a review on the Facebook page, because I know that it really does help others who are wondering if it's worth getting. I know that I have in the years of learning to be a newborn photographer, have taken several workshops myself, and I found that I was just as confused by the end of them as I was when I started them. So I tried to make this a very simple lighting tutorial so that pretty much every single person will grasp it without any questions. So that really makes me happy to read all the feedback that you guys leave for me. Thanks, Deidre. Okay, so you guys have a fabulous day, and don't forget, post in the group. Let's keep it going. I want it to be the most exciting group to check out on Facebook. So, okay, take care, guys.